Our recording has started. Good, good, good. Well, hello, Mrs. Joyce Burgess. How are you?
Hi, Angela. Here we are again. I'm fine. How are you doing?
I am doing well. We are holding on by
Good.
the grace of God, getting ready for the new fall school year, fall 2020. Oh, boy.
Oh my gosh. I know. Who would have thought this is where we would be? Who would have thought?
Yeah, I kind of thought that we wouldn't be ready to go full steam ahead in the fall because of how everything was panning out, but that's okay. That's quite all right. We're going to do what we have to do. We understand every parent is making their own decision based on what's
Yeah.
best for them and their household and their children. So,
And
um,
parents are I parents are really afraid. They they're wondering, am I going to hold my child back? Is my
yes,
child going to learn all of and then what about if a child says, I just hate virtual learning?
yes,
So
yes,
I've heard all kinds of tales from, parents about their stories. I've heard all their
right.
stories.
Right. And then I'm fortunate to be able to sit on the educator side, the teacher side, with some of these Google groups that I'm in. And
Yes.
they're just as uneasy as far as, how are they going to teach the kids online? How are they going to reach them and make sure there's engagement, make sure the kids are plugged in, those that actually come to class virtually. So I think there's going to be this need for us to just kind of have a spirit of grace for all on both sides, and because we've never been in
Hmm.
a pandemic before, we've never lived through a pandemic, we've never had to do this,
No, no, we haven't.
online like this. So
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
there are those of us who have homeschooled before. And so,
Right,
although we were not homeschooling under that kind of situation, we were
right.
homeschooling, still had our kids at home.
Yeah,
Sometimes it was uncomfortable, but now, you know, I know from my local community, everything is virtual
yes,
until after September,
yes.
um, Labor Day, and then we'll make the decision as to which way we're going to go. But I
Okay.
know parents are they're afraid right now, and my heart goes out to them. And so we're here to help relieve some of those fears.
Absolutely. And having said that, I think the purpose of us getting together today is, first of all, to update everyone on some of the resources and things that we've heard, and just to kind of keep parents in the loop. And also, Joyce and I have decided that we want to be a part of the solution.
Right.
So there's some resources that we came on here specifically to share with parents today. And Joyce, if you want to lead in with that, that would be great.
Well, first of all, I just want parents to know that I'm a homeschool mom of more than 30 years. I've homeschooled five children, actually seven children, five of my own and my nephews, but I've also tutored children in my home as well over the 35 years that we've been homeschooling. And so I just want to, and one of the questions is, what about African American content? I did not know what to teach when I first started homeschooling. I didn't know what my child should be learning. I didn't know how to track if he was learning everything that I did finally decide to give him. So I just put together some supplemental lessons. A lot of times, parents, I just want you to know that you can teach from what you know, teach from who you are. If you're good at a certain subject, I happen to be real good in English and reading and history and spelling and vocabulary, which are the building blocks to learning anyway. Everything
Mhm.
starts with reading, it starts with vocabulary. And so I knew that I was good at those things, plus music and voice. And that's where I started. And it was very hard. It was kind of challenging to organize those thoughts. But I went to the local library and just got books, just books on the child's level and books that were probably below their level, books that were above their level. And I would go through those books and circle the larger words for vocabulary. That was our spelling. And so, what I put together are supplemental packages that helped me along the way. We did have a core curriculum, for math and social studies, history and science and language and
Hmm.
reading. We did, but also the supplemental lessons. Sometimes I like to call them cozy lessons
Okay.
because I give you an example. If a parent is concerned about their child reading level and comprehending, lots of times children can't call the words out. They don't know the words, say, beyond the third grade level. It's so good when a parent can sit there with their child and read a small book, less than say 50 pages. Start out with something like that. No matter, especially if the child is 11, 10, 12 years old, start out with a book that's less than 50 pages, and parent, you read the book to the child. Maybe y'all can take turns
Hmm.
reading different chapters, or you can take turns reading a page. And then you ask the child questions throughout what you've read. Questions involve the child, and it helps the child to think about what they're reading because they don't know what question you're going to ask next. So I did that. And of course, as I said, I would circle the vocabulary. And I would circle the more challenging words rather, and use those as spelling words. And sometimes reading, that was all we did. It was
Okay.
like, shall I go on to math? But if a child is, say, 10 years old and they can't understand what they've read, how are they going to do a word problem,
Right.
which is throughout? Or how are they going to understand how to work a math problem if they don't have the basics of reading? So, the basics of reading, of course, being able to call the words out, being able to read vocabulary, then fluency, and then being able to understand what they've read, comprehension. So I've created a reading supplement or a cozy reading supplement so that parents will, it will be easy to go to your local library and get maybe 10 books that you can complete in 1 week. And that's one book. Marva Collins said that if you read 10 great books, then you have been introduced to 10 great teachers. And so having
Wow.
go to the library, get those books and circle the vocabulary or the words that you think your child may be challenged by, and use those words as spelling words. But you can also use those words for the child to learn how to spell them, writing them 3 to 5 times each, then doing dictionary work on those words, and then writing sentences. Choose some of the words that, and from those words, and then your child can write sentences. And then the last thing your child can do is write a paragraph about,
Mm.
maybe, say, if you have 10 words, a child can use about 5 of those words and write a paragraph because you've
Awesome.
been reading and you've been sparking that imagination. So I have a reading supplement, cozy reading lesson,
Okay.
reading supplement, and you can go to Joyce M. Burgess, and that's JoyceMBurges.com. You can find that reading supplement there. And also, I have math supplements. I also have poetry and history and science. All of it still being stemmed from the basics of fundamental learning, reading. And so, say for instance, if you were to be interested in the science supplements, you're going to see a classification of sciences. It could be aeronautics, it could be biology, it could be botanists, it could be chemistry, biology. And you're going to find an African American paired with that science classification, and also their profiles attached to that science supplement that asks questions about that science classification as well as who that hero or that contributor is as it relates to that science classification, and so on with history and music and art. Those are the things that our children are basics. There's a book that's out there and it's called What Every Fourth Grader Should Learn, and
Mm.
it's by, I think it's E.D. Hirsch, Hirsch, and he kind of gives you just a little bit of everything, and that's what I think. You let me know how many minutes I have here, Angela.
As
But
much time as you need.
okay, but E.D. Hirsch in his books what every fourth grader should learn, what every high school or what every middle school should learn. These are his books, whatever kindergartner, what every kindergartner should learn. He gives you just a little bit of everything. And so, as a mom, and by the grace of God, all of our children have done super well. We're in the third generation of homeschooling. We're homeschooling great grandchildren now. So,
Wow.
but this is what you do. You teach your children how to think, and you give them just a little bit. Believe me, by the time they're 18 and they graduate, or 16 and they graduate, learning still continues. It
Right.
doesn't stop. So, whereas you may feel like, am I teaching my child everything they need to know? You probably won't. And it's okay if you do not teach them everything they need to know. Because if you're thinking about testing, there
Yes.
are also tests, like the CLT test, the classic learning test, the ACT test. I have a
Mhm.
real good friend named Jean Burke, and she teaches you on all of these tests, ACT, the CLT, or the SAT. She teaches you how to strategize and take these tests. And that's what
Okay.
testing, standardized testing, parents, it's all about strategizing. It's
Right.
not as much about do you know the material,
Hmm.
but it's all about strategizing. And so that's what Gene Burke with, I can't even remember the name of the company, but it's Genius, something like that. I need to look it up and I'll get back with you. But that's what it's all about. So if you're thinking that you're going to teach your child everything that they need to know, you can just deliver yourself from that and say,
Hmm.
I'm not even available as a mom to even think that way. Because believe me, if you teach them how to love learning and how to think critically, then they're going to take it from there. Because
Hmm.
you have sparked an imagination in your child, and that spark will not die,
Hmm.
not even when they become 18. So they go on to college, and nowadays, you're wondering, how can we do this virtually? Our kids are not in school, our children are not in person learning. That's okay. If you, as a parent, put in time with those children as they are learning and you're engaged and you're involved, then your child will be involved. Because more than anything, what children want to see if what they're learning, if it interests you. If it doesn't
Right. Yeah.
interest you, then it's not going to interest them. So as a parent, sometimes we have to do like Shakespeare said, we have to play the part. We
Absolutely.
have to pretend, we have to play the part. A lot of times I wasn't interested in a lot of the things my children learned, but I had to play the part. And before you know it, by playing the part, it also became interesting to me. But as a parent, if you have the time, what is it that you like? What is it you enjoy? Are you
Right.
good at mechanics? Are you good in biology and chemistry? Whatever you're good at, then teach that to your children. Or if you're good in finances, financial literacy, teach that to your child. So if you go to JoyceMBurges.com, my website, you're going to find all of those subjects that I talked about: reading, poetry, music, art. And these are simple supplements. And if you get them, you're going to say, what is this? This is nothing. But if you really engage yourself in the lesson, it gives you a lot of opportunity for creativity. Because, say for instance, if you're studying about a particular country, say, what are some of my favorite countries? Ireland or Scotland or Africa, even better. You're studying about Africa and you're studying about Sahara Desert. I mean, kids can do projects where they go to magazines and they can cut out pictures as it relates to these different countries. They can even have a folder that says, my folder about Africa. I have
Hmm.
folders now, boxes of stuff that I probably need to pass on to my children. There are folders on how to cook a meal and how to cook a Spanish meal, or how to
Wow.
cook an African meal, or like gumbo.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think it's derived in Africa, huh, Angela? I know the word gumbo means. I don't want to get
Yeah.
off on chasing
I.
rabbit here, but I think the word gumbo means okra, which
Okay.
okra is definitely African original. And so
Okay.
they have these books on my favorite foods from Africa, my favorite foods from from Argentina, my favorite foods from Mexico or something like that. And when they go back and look at that, you know what's so beautiful is being able to show your grandchildren now what it was like when their parents first learned how to write. And
Right.
so we
Yeah.
have something on cursive handwriting, which we should do cursive handwriting. I know a lot of people do not think we need to do cursive hand, but there's so much to cursive handwriting that the child needs to learn. You know, just taking those strokes and doing that cursiveness. It does so much for the brain that parents have just forsaken, schools have forsaken. We need
Right.
to get back to cursive handwriting and why Joyce Burgess thinks cursive handwriting is important.
Hmm.
So I can go on and on about, but visit the website. Um, those supplements are available for you there, as well as my book that's on Amazon.com. Teach Me How to Teach My Child by Joyce Burgess. That book is also available for you. We just want to make sure that you're successful at what you're doing. I want to make sure that you're successful. You know what? It's not hard. I don't want you to feel like the whole pressure of the education or 12 years of your child's life is upon you. I used to feel that way, so I
Yes.
know how you feel. I know how you feel like, oh, am I going to ruin my child? You know, will he be able to compete? Who is he competing with? You know, he's his biggest
Hmm.
competitor anyway, or she's her biggest competitor. And so, you know, we have all of these heroes and that we need to learn about, and our children need to see themselves in our historical heroes and our science heroes. So
Awesome.
that's it for
Awesome.
me. And I'll be
Awesome.
back later to give you some more
Oh, good.
updates and some more thoughts.
Oh, she has 30 years worth of stuff that she
Yeah,
can pour
sometimes it
in.
overwhelms me because I know I don't. You know, it's like, oh, Joyce, you have all this knowledge, but you know, I have to get it and I have to condense it so that I can
Yeah.
help people. And
Yeah.
believe me, I've not been very faithful at doing everything I should do. So I'm playing catch up as well.
And your book is excellent, by the way. Teach Me How to Teach My Child by Joyce M. Burgess on Amazon. She has her whole story there that she does not have the time in the earth to really tell it.
No,
Um, Along with those supplements that she mentioned, there are supplements inside the book. So it's a wonderful,
absolutely.
wonderful
Yeah.
resource. And I've read it and I love it, and it's just so much wisdom, so much wisdom. That's why I always love when she would take her time. She's got a lot of things to do, but she takes time to talk to me and kind of calm my nerves sometimes and give me direction, and we help
Yeah.
each other, and we love doing that. So we're just kind of